Back to the Lars Laren Show.
Welcome back to the program. It's a pleasure to be with you. A brand new poll out shows 57% of Americans now oppose the way that ICE is enforcing immigration laws, which last time I checked is exactly the way the laws were written. So maybe Americans are just a bit uninformed about what those laws say. Should the Trump administration take a second look at enforcement tactics? I thought I'd begin with that, with Pallavi Ahluwalia. I hope I didn't mangle that too badly.
You are just fine. Thank you so much for having me. And it's Pallavi Ahluwalia from Dallas, Texas. Glad to be part of your show.
Very good. You are the managing attorney at your own law offices, which is an immigration law firm based in Texas. Tell me this. What do you make of the fact that when Americans actually see the ICE laws enforced, I think the way they were written and put on the books, that 57% of them tell a bunch of pollsters, we don't like it, because I do.
Yeah. So what's going on is that there is a lot more. So every president has had the duty to deport if there are people present in the country without legal permission. They've entered the country legally or lost their status. They fall in the deportation process. And every president has done deportation. So it's not, removals are not new here. However, I think they're more in the news right now, right? There is a camera crew that follows ICE agents around, and I think some of them are sourced by ICE. Some are maybe for impact. I don't know how, or it's working to scare the communities into self-deporting. So there are several things at play. But yes, deportation is going on. It's a little bit more in news. So there are, because it is in the news, there are opinions for and against.
Well, so it's just the way it's being done, but to some extent, is the opposition being ginned up by the fact that all these, not all these, but many of the sanctuary states are ginning up opposition on the streets, and that's creating confrontations that then leads Americans to believe, well, this can't be a good thing if enforcing the laws leads to these kinds of confrontations, except would the confrontations be there if local officials, and I'm thinking in particular about the mayor of Minneapolis right now and the governor of Minnesota, if they weren't taking the actions that they're taking to actively oppose the enforcement of the law? So
there is first a constitutional issue, and that issue is the 10th Amendment right? So the 10th Amendment, as we know, reserves powers that are not given to the federal government, to the states, to establish police power over public safety and local law enforcement. So I think there is a little bit of a conflict there. What I did hear the mayor last night say is for everyone to keep their protests peaceful, to go back home and not engage into sparring with the federal officers who were carrying on their tasks. You may not agree with them, but they are carrying out their task, and that's what I heard last night. Now, there is a federal law, Lars, that is 18 U.S.C. 111, which makes it a criminal penalty to assault, resist, or impede officers or employees of the federal government, right? So while they're, in the course of their duties. So there is that law, and but also I think on the other side, we also have to take care as to how much force is being used to carry out your duties. If Americans see people being slammed on the pavements, the neck on the knees on the neck for people, then I think and they may be U.S. citizens who are also experiencing the same thing. So I think it's just a commentary on it's invoking public opinion.
Well, tell me this, though. I'm talking to Pallavi Ahluwalia. And Ahluwalia is the managing attorney at the Ahluwalia Law Offices. But in this case, when you get people fighting back and resisting arrest, I don't know what law enforcement is supposed to do other than continue to enforce the law. And yet some of that fighting back is coming because the mainstream media and the politicians on the left are all saying, well, these actions by ICE are not legitimate. And to whatever extent the mayor of Minneapolis today says calm it down, last week he was saying, to ICE, using a word I can't use on the radio, get the blank out of Minneapolis, which he had no business doing. He has no authority to do that. And in fact, I think he's helped create some of the problem that he now claims he's trying to calm down. What's your take on that?
So, I mean, it's the federal government and the employees that are deployed on behalf of the federal government carrying out removal work. It's tough work to be done, right? It should be allowed to be carried out peacefully as long as there's not too much wrestling and violence that we are seeing on the street. I think everyone has to take care about what shows up. We saw a leaked memo that is telling ICE officers that profanity or personal insults that are directed at officers are not against the law. Rude gestures directed at officers are still the First Amendment right. Arguing verbally is okay. Peaceful protests are okay. If somebody is challenging the officer's authority, you cannot use force for that. So, to me, if there is an officer who is going out carrying their duty, they do expect to come back home that night, right? Yep. Similarly, if somebody is gone to protest peacefully in what they think, their community requires protection from, they should also be able to come back home that night, right? This is America. We're not living in a third world country. We're living in the most civilized nation of all, right?
But what do we do when people have started to begin to assault ICE officers with automobiles and last night with a shovel?
Yeah, then the officers are forced to use force as well, and that's what we're seeing right now. And again, to the point about the automobile, I think we have to get the investigators who come in to analyze what really happened, and then there is a judiciary that should take care of the next set of whatever the process is. So if there is a conflict or a stand down here, I think we've got to investigate it and get to the bottom of it. And we all will believe what we honestly believe in, right? But there are videos out there that show different things to different people. The same video can show invoke two different thoughts between people. So my thought is there's a First Amendment right to protest. There is a Fourth Amendment that says there cannot be unreasonable searches and seizures by the government.
That's a very good point. Pallavi, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on the program. She heads up one of the biggest...
The Lars Laren Show.